Where should I start? There. Okay, so I am going to start off with telling you guys where I've been. Because life has been insane, and I'm sorry. But I have other things besides this to do. Like, more important than YouTube. No offense. I love you all, but my life is insane. Like, the month of October and like half of November was just insanity. I am now a redhead. Don't mind. Don't don't mind what my hair is right now. It's dirty and I'm tired. And I also have Nobu on Discord right now. So if you hear like someone speaking and it sounds deeper than my voice, that's him. Just saying. And he did give me permission. He did give me permission to film or like record his voice with this. Okay. I think after I give you guys that update, I'm going to do a scary story. This was sent to me over Twitter, and I will credit them. These, and they also did give me permission. Let me, cause it's just I have. Yeah, it was over. Uh, it's over Twitter. And the story is sent in by Skipping Stones. Stones is like the O is a C. I have Stardew paused right now, so you see me like looking over there. I'm just looking at the calendar. I'm in year 2 of fall. I've been playing a lot of Stardew, as you can tell. And I'm also listening to Ice on Kills in my ear because it's the only way that I can be sane right now. Because I asked him, or like them, I don't know the gender. I asked them over Twitter if I can just like, hey, can I tell my YouTube about this? And he said yes. That is my dog that just came down barking her ass off like normal. But this. And they also edited the story afterwards. Again, that is my dog. And then I also have like a story that happened to me. I had a few that happened to me. This is going to be very long. I apologize. But let's just get on to the spooky story. Wait, I was going to tell you guys where I've been. Okay, so for like the month of October and like half of November, my work schedule got insane. Like, absolutely insane. Like, I was working 5 to 6 days a week. Like, open and then close. So yeah, that was my work schedule for like a month and a half. And now, since we got more people in there, which I'm grateful for, my hours were cut, and I'm so thankful. Because I was so incredibly tired. I was incredibly tired. I think I bit my lip, like the top of my lip, like right here. Anyway. Okay, so let's get on to the scary story. It's a long boy. And again, it's skipping stones. Stones within seeds. Stones with a C on Twitter. So let's get in. And Nobu, you get to hear a scary story in December.
Yeah.
Whenever it's almost Christmas, and I was supposed to film this before Halloween, but again, my schedule was insane. And I was also tired. So give me a pass, because my body can only take so much at this point. Okay, so let's get into this. I'm starting from the beginning, so sit back. They are from Missouri. They grew up in a small house that their grandparents, their mom, and their uncle grew up in, on a dead end road in front of a field, which for the most part was pretty up until like 5 years ago, when the trees got like cut down. So their grandparents' house was a three bedroom, one bath, which with a laundry room attached to the kitchen. Outside the house was 3 trees, but soon turned into 2 because I jumped off one showing off for the grandma, and it fell on me. So it took down a tree. Anyway, back to the story. As a child, there were several times that they encountered things that they didn't like in the house. In their grandparents' house, there was more than one thing and it haunts them still. And honestly, they are saying thing because what lives in that house is not something to be given respect to, or like be respected enough to like be referred to as a person. So as a child, their mother caught them like several times speaking to a little boy known as Billy. She told them that it actually scared her a little bit. Billy isn't a child. Billy is something that has lived there since their mom was little. Every child that actually comes into the house apparently sees him, which is not uncommon because children have like that wild imagination, I would say, and they are more like susceptible to certain energies. And sometimes that just like completely goes away. Sometimes it actually grows as you age, which happens to a few people. They are known as clairvoyants. You know, like the psychics and all that. They are more in tune to like certain energies than other people, so they are very susceptible to like actually seeing things that other people might not see. I myself am very susceptible to certain energies, mostly negative energies, so welcome. So anyway, back to it, me and my little tangent. During the ice storm of like '06, they think it was, which it actually was in 2006 because I remember it because my entire like childhood town, which I'm back in, was absolutely covered for like a month. And it was so cold that even a car's heater that was running for like an hour before didn't warm my 6-year-old ass up. So anyway, they were using candles to see since like the storm knocked everything out, and they were really wanting something to drink. But at like 5 years old, the last thing I wanted to do was go into the kitchen by themselves. But their mom just, yeah, no, just run. Just run and get a juice, they think it was, and come back. Good. The good thing was is that they had a flashlight too, so they took it and went down the hall and into the kitchen. They were barely to the fridge when they shined the light up and saw 4 people standing in the laundry room, which their grandparents had a blanket up, like hanging at. There was a man in a suit and hat, a woman to his side in an old-timey dress, and a boy and a girl in front of them. Just like a simple 4-person family. Looking back, they still remember exactly how they looked, and they had to be from like the early 1900s or something. So like 1940s, 50s, like that middle point and before. They remember screaming and running back to their mother, scared the shit out of them as a little kid, which something like that would scare me to this day. Just saying. And then sometime later, they were playing in like their room, which was in front of like their grandparents' room in the house. Their doors were like right in front of each other's, so they could step out and instantly and like just like pop in, say hi if like they wanted to. So anyway, they were playing in their room with like some superhero toys. They are thinking Spider-Man since they absolutely loved Spider-Man as a kid. Spider-Man, either way. And they remembered this bear tourniquet, this bear trinket coming flying off the shelf in their grandmother's room and slammed directly into theirs. And it shattered all over the floor until like their grandmother died. My grandmother still thought like they did it. But again, they were in their own room playing with their toys. And then they remember like this occurrence very specifically. It was Halloween night, and they were 6 to 7 years old before the house that tried to kill us. But same lot, it's like same area, just different house. And it was them, their mother, and their uncle in the house at that time. They don't remember what like their grandparents were, but that night, like everyone heard footsteps up and down the hall, and their uncle saw a man hanging in his doorway and then vanish. A man standing at the end of the hallway in a cowboy hat and saw a black dog with red eyes in the bathroom. The dog is like a common sight there, and I believe that is a hellhound, since hellhounds are usually depicted as big black dogs with red glowing eyes. They remembered being so scared that night, and that's like one Halloween that they'll never forget. So anyway, see, the thing about this house is that their aunt is literally to blame. As a teenager, my now holy rolling aunt drew a pentagram in their grandparents' bedroom floor, which was her room at the time, and set it on fire. And their mother was there. She told me it flamed up and went out like something stopped it. Growing up, their mother, aunt, and uncles would be held down in their beds. Their radios and TVs would come on even when unplugged. They heard voices, saw people, and countless other things that that makes them tear up. Tear up hearing about now. To the house, which was actually a trailer, but either way. When they were 8 years old, their mother moved in with their stepdad in a trailer in the backyard that was, at the time, like with their 1-year-old sister. Let's call her C. They have 3 sisters, so names, bro. This place was supposed to be temporary, but they ended up there until they were legally an adult, so 18 for America. That's legally, you're an adult at 18 here. And whenever they were about 16 or 17 was when, their parents finally told them. But when they first moved in the living room, their father found blood in the floor, found bones underneath the carpet, and truth be told, from things I'm about to tell you, something really Manson-y meets Amityville happened there. So if you know about the Manson family and the Amityville horror house, the Defoe family and all that, mash that together. And they would stand by that until the day that they die, which is pretty serious, in my opinion. As they were writing this, they were just terrified and having a small panic attack, which they are okay now. I asked them if I can do this, and they gave me consent. They were in tears just remembering everything that happened to them. This is another night. This is a bunch of little stories put into one, since it's everything collaborated together over over years, which I personally enjoy reading because I'm just oh my god. But they are literally the sweetest person, the sweetest person. They are very, very polite. They are very cordial to people that they don't really know, and they were so understanding that, hey, yeah, sure. They just edited it and gave me don't actually say this and say this instead, which I will respect, and I have been so far. So anyway, they remember one night they were sitting in the dining room, which at the time their dad had turned into a little game room, Xbox, PS2 at the time, and they were reading a book. They don't remember which one. Can't remember what I read last night. So that tells you. They think it was a Spiderwick one, Song of the Pixie, which they read a lot growing up, so might as well just put that in. It was about 2 in the morning, and their mother came into the room that they were in, scared as shit. Their siblings are up, their dad's up, and then they heard something, but I was too drawn in to pay attention to it, which, you're reading, you're not really paying attention to the things around you and all that. And then their mother tells them that their room's door handle was violently shaking and twisting, but no one was in the room. Growing up, something happened almost every single week. Probably didn't help that the field in front of us probably gave off a lot of energy since the war came through there. I don't know which one. It doesn't specify which one. And at one point, the whole land was swamp. So God only knows what happened there, during the swamp days of that. But anyway, this place affected us in more ways than one. It changed our mood and made us think in ways and say things that they never would. As a baby, my sister, S, let's call her S, had been thrown out of her crib, and their mother set up a little camcorder in her room and caught a head coming towards her crib. Their sister, C, would be put to bed at night, barely a year old and unable to walk, yet their mother would go and get her in the mornings with her feet, and her feet would be like covered in dirt. This was in the same room, like exact same room that baby S was tossed out of the crib in the middle of the night, which kind of scary. And as a teenager, they had the same room at one point. So if you come from like a big family that has like a bunch of siblings in them, you do like switch rooms, you do change rooms a lot, and like once you hit a certain age, you get your own room. And I think that I've had my own room since I was 8 years old, and I'm 21 now. So that tells you, and I have 3 brothers. That tells you a lot. My 3 brothers used to share a room at one point, but now like everyone has like their own place or they have their own room, which is fine. But anyway, let's get back. As a teenager, they had the same room at one point and never vowed to like never sleep in there in a million years. In like that room again. They had it like 3 times in their life, and this was the last time. So kudos to that. Their brother, let's call them D. D and them saying cause I was going to tell y'all why my name is. Oh! So if you know Supernatural, like these two, like right back here, Sam and Dean, those are their people's name. Those are their names. But still, D and S. Wait, there's R and S. You know what? Just think of these two whenever I say Dean and Sam, since you don't know what they look like. But anyway, they shared this room, and it was like small as hell, but it worked. You know, they had the top bunk, he had the bottom, bunk bed, bunk bed fun. And they were laying in bed, and they opened their eyes to see this thing violently crawling out of the ceiling in front of their closet. Let me tell you, I had a chill running down my spine whenever I read this part. Because if you know that the creepypasta, The Rake, yeah, that's the shit that I thought of. So anyway, this is the description of this violently crawling thing on the ceiling. It was pale, skinny, and looked like the fucking Rake. Just even they thought. So that also tells you how like old they are, like possibly. Since I'm 21, they might be like the exact same age that I am, or like a little bit older. Since creepypasta was like a big thing whenever I was 13, like 2013. And they started crying the second they thought about it. So the story's taking them a while to write, which is fine. I love long stories. So during the time that their parents had that room, their mother had seen someone standing at the foot of the bed. Their father saw my mother standing beside herself, and something would kick and shake their bed. During the time C had it, she would see someone in the closet too, and see a woman standing beside a mirror of their grandmother's. Which I don't think that one had like a negative energy, since it was standing by something that their grandmother had. But I think that the grandmother was like alive at this point. I don't really know. They don't specify, but I'm hoping that was their grandmother, since they were standing beside the mirror that they had. And she would just be standing in the corner staring at her every night, to the point that their sister, like sister C, begged their mom to get rid of the mirror, which, okay, if it made them uncomfortable, that's fine. But certain objects that people have like their energy like imprinted on them. So anyway, they threw it over the fence into a pile that was back there. To go back a second to when their dad saw their mom beside herself, this was also a common thing on that lot. Growing up seeing a double happen too much, like their mom would see their grandmother, their dad would see their mom, and their mom would see their dad. So a mimic in a way. One occurrence that their mom told them about was when she was like 14, their mom was 14. My Uncle C, it's a lot of C's, S, and ABCs here. They were sitting in his room when he watched their mother come and sit on his bed. She asked him for a cigarette. Of course, he said no, since she was 14. He watched her leave the room. It took him a second to realize, but then it hit him. She said, like their mother said, that she heard him say, "Wait a fucking minute, you're only 14," as he was coming into her room. She said he froze, he saw her, but with different hair and different clothes on. Hang on, Twitter. I'm on Twitter reading a Twitter story. So, anyway. Like, the thing is, their mother is also a twin, but her twin died in childbirth. Like, they died. So, the theory that they have is that it was actually her, but still they would be 14, and don't smoke at 14. But from the occurrence of seeing her, she's not a good person or like ghost or like entity. Fast forwarding back to their teens. Growing up, they struggled with a lot of personal issues. And they blame that trailer. Why? Because at night there were several times that they had been told to, self harm, and others by like things whispering in their ear, and had been woken up to things screaming horrible, horrible things in their ears, so much that they started to believe that they had schizophrenia, which they don't. It was just people whispering things in their ears at night. Like, it was that bad. They became terrified of their father because things would whisper, like, entities would whisper things about him at night, telling them that they were going to shoot them. So again, this is where the Amityville thing comes in. And they believed him because at the time their father was mean. Like, very mean. But now they know that it's not their fault. It's not their dad's fault. Like, since they've moved, he hasn't been that way. He doesn't act that way. He doesn't talk that way. He smiled. He doesn't glare at me like he wants to hit someone. He never hit us. Let me just clear that up. But he did rip a door off, like, the door hand of, like, off the wall, off, like, the hinges. If I can speak. So, anyway. There were times that they were held, like they would be held down in bed. Televisions would come on, like, same things that happened to their parents. So there was a time that they were sitting with their mother. This is a bit funny. They said, "Y'all are going to laugh at this one." But the calendar flew off the wall, and my mother practically flew over the couch and out the door. And I followed. Homie left by. I mean, if your mother has been like dealing with the supernatural for years on end, anything that happens, it's like, nope, 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 bye. So, when they were like 15, 16, their mother set up her laptop to record the living room while we went on a walk, like they went on a walk. Because of consistent occurrences going on, she wanted to like capture them as well as catch them on EVP. And on that video, you can hear people chanting, and the screen door to like the living room and the screen door was like shuddering and all that, like moving. But like the living room was empty, like everyone was out on the walk. And they also didn't have a screen door. Other times she did it, they caught humming, someone doing the dishes, voices, laughter, shadows, lights, and gunshots. And like for years they tried to leave. We would house hunt and we would talk about it in like the house. This time they kept their mouth shut and would only talk about it when we went on walks or to the store. So like once they did that, they were finally able to leave. That trailer and that lot holds you there, and it doesn't let go unless like you don't talk about it in the lot. So their stepsister this time, stepsister D, when she'd come over, she was terrified of the bathroom to the point that she would beg me to sit in the bathroom so she could shower, or like sit by the door, just like, hey, can you like guard me while I am showering? Which I don't see the problem in doing it. Like this house is like actually fucking insane as it sounds. No offense. No offense, but the house sounds fucking insane. This bathroom was like also a bad place too, like a lot of negative energies. And their sister and them both saw a little girl with black eyes in there. They would end up with like cuts and scratches in the shower that they didn't do. And the mother also had like countless photographs somewhere from that place, a few being from that bathroom. One being of their mother holding their sister, and you can see a hand around her throat. Two, faces, just like regular faces. Three would be like the four people most clearly see an Indian man through the mirror in the hallway with what looks like a woman and child. So that tells you how many people have possibly died in like that lot over like the years. And like they wanted to like upload the pictures at the end, but they didn't. They decided not to. They talk about like the goat man in the background of one of them. Mother got, possessed. They were saying possessed, but I'm going to say it too. Because it sounds like that's what actually happened. Like she blacked out for a week. Oh, I got a brood. That's fun. And she doesn't remember any of it. And I believe that is all. Let's end with like the most recent thing that they found out. So they found out like October 20th, since this was October 21st, like whenever they wrote all this. They found out that yesterday that it did the same thing to their mother, my now 13-year-old sister, their 8-year-old sister, and 12-year-old brother. It would tell them to hurt themselves and us. Their 8-year-old sister would be whispered to cut her wrist by a little girl with black eyes. Their 13-year-old sister was told to kill their brother and several times to smother him. So yeah. They also forgot to add that they have the photo of like somewhat of a demon's face in the bushes behind the trailer, and I don't think that they found it. Yeah, they didn't find it, which is fine. So a little thing about like the little girl with black eyes, there's like this urban legend of children with black eyes and black hair and white clothing. They come into like your home posing as like lost children to steal your child. So that's a little thing. And okay, so that was Skipping Stones story. So let's continue on with mine. I have one that's just like not. It's not as heavy as that one. It's not as long, but anyway. This one is like two stories put into one because it was like happening in like the exact same month over like a year. So the first one was we have like this little lamp that my grandfather used to have. We still have it. It's like touch activated, so it like turns on and like gets brighter. But we would always like have it off during the day, so it's like no one will be in the house. And every time that someone comes home, like I usually get home the first, like around the first one to be home. That's the wording. And it would always be on whenever I got home, and I'm over here just like, hi. Because, like, no one would be home, and it would be weird. And I know that my cat's not doing it since my cat would be outside, and my cat's also asleep, like, right there, like, right in front of me. So, yeah, that's, like, the first one. Just like, oh, okay, just turn it off and go on. And my mom also was having to deal with it, too, which is fine. Because, like, it didn't feel different. And we just chalked it up to like, oh, it's like my grandfather and all that. And then like the second time was we had like a very old kitchen, and the cabinets would be squeaky since they're are like literally 100 years old, so of course like they're going to be squeaking. But this one cabinet that was like right by the arch, like the doorway to like actually get into the kitchen, was like the loudest squeak of them all. It's like it's so loud that it's annoying. So this one is I was coming out of the kitchen, and the door, like the cabinet door, slowly opened and it didn't make a noise. And I was like, I just got out of the kitchen, and my mom called me back. She's like, she smiled at me and said, "Did you open that?" And then I look at it, and it's like still opening. And my mom was like across the kitchen, and I don't think that she would run in the house since we're not allowed to run, and the house is like 100 years old. To keep that in mind. And she just smiled and looked at me, just like, "Did you open that?" And I was like, "No, did you?" And she's like, "No." So I'm just like, "Okay." Slowly close it, and it squeaked as I close it. That's the thing. That door squeaks. It creaks, it squeaks, and it's loud. Like opening it and closing it, there's like a certain point where it starts to like squeak. And also, it was held closed by a magnet. That is a very strong magnet, and like you can actually hear it like like click out, like click off, and then like click on. We didn't hear any of that, so I just like closed it and went upstairs. I was like, so yeah, that's that. I think that's all. Like, I actually think that that is like the only thing that actually terrified me or like made me feel a very weird way was that actually happening. And of course, like I am very into like dark things. There were also like a few times that I saw like shadows and apparitions in the house, like upstairs in the house. But again, like the energy in there didn't feel heavy. It didn't make me like weird. It's just like, oh, okay. So yeah, I think that is it. I have like my little like video notebook over there. I don't know like what I'm gonna talk about next time. I think I'm gonna do some zodiac ones, like zodiac makeup and all that. But yeah, I'm going to play some more Stardew and just like chill out for the rest of the night since I'm kind of tired now. But I think that's all. Don't kill people. Make good choices. Don't do drugs. Don't stalk people. Like, no. You can and will get in trouble, and if it escalates to harassment, that is also bullying and also harassment, which are both illegal. At least in my state, it is. Like, bullying, like any type of bullying, is illegal. So, there you go. Follow Skipping Stones on Twitter. At Skipping Stones. Stones is spelled with a C instead of an O, like STCNES. Yeah. So, yeah, that is all. Have a good night.